A lot of the physical concerns we have, it's traced back, as you said, to some sort of trauma, some sort of thing happened in childhood that is coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
Menopause tends to bring a lot of clarity for women. So that's why we need to still focus on that positive self talk. Paulette, I just wanted to touch a little bit on you before we check the comments again, because you have always talked about the trials and tribulations you've gone through a lot of your life. Where do you find that, whether it's inner strength, whether it's, I don't know what word you use, but to give yourself that positive self talk? Because for me, you're always showing up very positive, always with a smile on your face, even though I know the challenges that you're having. And you could be all flat on your bed and just be like, okay, I give up today. You'll have that right to do that because of the things that you're going through. So, where do you find that inner strength?
I think a few years ago there was a Say It Out Loud. I don't know if you've heard that. It was a very well written piece, and it came out of well, it was Harvard initially, and then various other institutions piggybacked off it, and it was called the Say It Out Loud theory. And it's if you say something out loud, you can't take it back. So, in other words, if you admit something or you express a feeling, that's it. It's out there, it's in the ether, and you've done it. And then you have to kind of back that up with why did I say it out loud? And what has that done for me? And so for me, I think the more I say things out loud, the more I'm dealing with all my inner issues, all my inner problems, a little bit like my badass friend at the top there. It's the same principle. It's the thought of you can take everything inside and become a shadow of yourself because you're carrying a rucksack of issues and guilt and worries and historic problems on your back, or you can empty it out on the floor and pick one piece up at a time and go, okay, so let's deal with that today, and you say it out loud and you deal with it. And over the time that we've been on this show, we've talked about so many things that I see that are relative to menopause. For example, fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia gives you fog, brain fog, absolute horrendous brain fog. And, people don't say that out loud because they don't want to, because they don't want to admit that it's a problem. But it's a major problem. But what I say to people is say it out loud. Just say, I've got brain fog and sometimes I'm going to screw up and say the wrong thing. You know, I'm not talking about Tourette's, and you don't go there. That was just a short period of time when I was on morphine. Um, but no, in all seriousness, the part of getting rid of anxiety is owning it, and you can't ever get rid of something you don't own. So by putting it out there on the plate, as it were, serving it like your dinner, here it is. This is the situation. I've overspent. The credit card's this, or the car's broken. I had a crash. I can't lie about it. Things that you would build up in your mind about how horrendously your partner's going to handle whatever it is you're going to dish out and tell them. Quite often, 9 times out of 10, they see the anxiety and the stress that you're under. They will support you. They won't go, ah, they will go, okay, so what happened? Well, this happened and that happened, and then the bill for this came in and the bill for that came in. I didn't have the money, put it on the credit card, thought I could pay it off. Now I haven't been paid because of what's going on with the government, say in the States, and now we've got this credit card bill and it's scaring the big what's it's out of me. It's things like that. Unless you can be honest and open and put it out there and say it out loud, That was the biggest thing I can remember from this piece that I read. And I thought, that is so true. When you say it out loud, you're owning it. And I think that's pretty much what Sarah's saying, own your stuff and deal with your stuff. Because if you don't, your stuff will come and deal with you. So that's what I say.
Yeah, definitely it will come and it will deal with you if you don't deal with it. It's gonna show up no matter what. But a question though, is that the same as faking it till you make it?
Not at all. Faking it till you make it is really where you are saying, la 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 la, you can't see me, I can't hear it, can't see it, put my head on. Doing an any, putting yourself under a blanket, right? That's faking it till you make
Hmm.
it. So eventually that bad story is going to hit him and he's going to hear about the menopause and the blood and stuff like that. And down he'll
Yeah.
go. But the point is, faking it till you make it is really about pretending. It's it's the face. I call it a mask. It's a strange word to use because some people can be quite offended by it. But if you put a mask on, what you're doing is you're pretending to be something that you're not. And that often means that you're hiding a mental issue, and that can be very dangerous because then people don't really know you, and they don't know you when you're in trouble. And there's also the very old tale about the guy that cried wolf, the boy that cried wolf.
Hmm.
If you're always faking it and pretending it, you're fine and everything's jolly, and oh, Paulette, she's never got a problem in the world, when she's spending half her life on the loo. The truth of the matter is, I can pretend, but why? Why not be honest and say, my life's crap at the moment, but I'm doing the best I can? And that's called truth. I could sit here and go, look at me, I spent 3 hours in the makeup room. Didn't happen, So I think it's all about the faking it is never a good thing, because faking it till you make it, you always get caught. And even if you don't get caught by somebody else, you'll get caught by yourself. One day you look in the mirror and you go, holy schmoly, I really am 61. And I've been telling everyone I'm 25. The wrinkles are sort of showing. You can't pretend. You are who you are, and you should admit to who you are and be proud of who you are. Warts and all, as we say in England. It really is a warts and all situation, and that's what I try to tell everybody, that we can all have issues and we can all have problems, but a problem shared, as we say, is a problem halved. And you can only share a problem if you admit it and say it out loud.
Sarah, do you have anything to add before we go to the a lot of comments are coming in, but just wanted to give you a
Yeah,
chance to respond
I,
before we
I
go to the
I
comments.
love that. A couple of thoughts came to mind, and so one of the things that I have found in order to really focus on that positive self-talk is really shadow work. It's the shadow work that we need to work on first, because it then complements the self-talk that then follows. And shadow work really uncovers and heals the roots of the negativity, so then the positive self-talk can then build that authentic confidence that's built on a solid foundation. And like Paulette was saying, a lot of times people are dealing with shame. So things that they are dealing with in life, a lot of times it has to do with shame. And when we say it out loud, like Paulette said, that shame loses oxygen. And that's one of the things that I think is important, is understanding and owning who you are, is one of the things, and also the things that have happened to you. Think about all of the trauma and things like that have potentially happened to people. We are taught to not talk about those types of things, and I'll share something just a little bit more vulnerable and more I guess more thing something that happened to me. So when I was younger, between the ages of 6 and 7, I was molested by my cousin, and that was something that ended up manifesting itself into having to learn how to turn that into a positive later on in life. So as you can imagine, having that experience turns, the thought of sex into a negative. And so when you're wanting to then be in a relationship, you're stuck in this shame spiral of still trying to find your sexuality as a person, but also dealing with this shame of what it is that you dealt with. And what I have found, related to life, is that the moment that I started speaking out and started letting other people know, other people started echoing and talking about their own experience. So by me being public about what it is that happened to me, it allowed other people to be able to have the strength to come out and talk about their experience too. But what that did for me is it allowed me to be able to put this out there where I'm taking my power back. The person that did this to me, that's their thing to now deal with. I'm now admitting that this is what happened to me, but I'm finding power in what it is that happened to me because I'm now taking back that instead of allowing someone to push me down to shame. And so I think that a part of the work, in order to develop confidence, in order to develop self-talk, if you don't spend the time really doing the shadow work, which is finding the root causes that require healing, integrating that and not suppressing those things. And that is what, ends up manifesting itself in anxiety and self-sabotage, in menopause. Like, what I have found is that even with menopause, that people that have really done the work have less menopausal symptoms with things. And so it's dealing with those things because those things manifest themselves into medical, things that happen to us. So for me, that's one of the biggest things, is really owning the things that have happened, doing the shadow work, and figuring out how it is that you can overcome and learn and become a stronger person.
And I love that you share that. And that's a lot of the work that I do with clients. Perimenopause and menopause raises so many issues for women, triggers so many things.
Yeah.
But being in that denial makes things worse. And I'm hearing church bells. Okay. Uh, um, yeah, so it's like a simple thing of telling people, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't think about a pink elephant. You're going to think about it, right? So being denying yourself that, okay, I'm not in anxiety, I'm not having depression, ignoring those things just makes your brain think about it more, and it makes the anxiety worse, it makes the depression worse. Just admitting it's that, okay, I have anxiety right now, that alone can lessen those symptoms. Figuring out then, okay, where it's coming from, what's triggering it. That may take more work. That may take working with a coach, working with a therapist, and that's okay. But living in that denial, I've never seen it work for anyone. So I'm so glad that you brought up that. Uh, what I'll do is just, Annie, could you, I've seen you added some comments to the chat. I know a lot of it is on LinkedIn. I just wanted to touch on some of the comments before we go to the persons on stage. I'm not sure if you're seeing all of it. So there are a lot of comments on LinkedIn. So happy that everyone is joining in. I'm seeing Alovin. I hope I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing it right.
I put Oliver's comment up. I think
Okay.
Sean, that's Sean's comment. So it says, every day I define confidence as a quiet congruence between you and what you say you are, and who you say you are, and how you show up, rather than bravado or fearlessness. It is internal alignment that says, I trust myself to meet whatever comes. Isn't that genius?
Yeah. That's why I just love Sean being here and sharing his wisdom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's another one from Nick. So there's Nick. So no, I don't know why StreamYard does this to me. Right. It's almost as if the more challenges you have, the more grateful you become.
Yeah.
Mm, that's
It's
yeah,
a good way to look at it.
mm, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to reframe, right?
Yeah.
Rather than seeing disaster, is it possibilities? So, Alvin, I'm going to find your comments. Put that up. There are a few people to welcome as well. Alvin says, come on. Today we're nice. Yeah, StreamYard. Thank you, finally. So, StreamYard. So, Alvin says, looking inward instead of looking outward. I'm taking that. It resonates with me. There you go. No, there's many more good comments, so I'll look through and see which ones I can copy and paste on here.
Yeah.
It's a bit harder to understand when we can't see them.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. If we don't get it on the show, we do go back into the comments and answer. So please feel free to leave comments, leave questions. Please share with us your thoughts.
Yeah, if you want to join the studio, then now's your chance, my friends. Now's your chance because we have 20 minutes left and we should end this show not long after that. But, I want to hear from you. Crystal, be very patient. How are you doing, Crystal?
I am doing wonderful. And first, I wanted to say hello, Auntie. I'm so happy to see you live, you know, in live and doing well. And Lisa, I've been following this series. You have helped me out so much with me being in Perry. I just wanted to let you know that all of these are amazing that you've been doing. I, being a badass and owning what our bodies as women are going through, it's not always easy, between, starting with the hot sweat and the moods. I mean, I thought I was moody when I was just PMSing, but my mood swings and everything have been more temperamental. But I've been paying attention to what you've been saying with the diet and everything, and it has been helping to regulate. So I just really wanted to come up here and just say thank you so much, Lisa, and everybody that's been doing this series. It really has been helping me with menopause and everything else. You guys are amazing. And Annie, I saw your comment. Yes, you are a badass because you put up with all of us hormonal women all the time and you support us and you help us grow. So yes, you are a badass in your own right, and I love you. So that is really what I wanted to come up and say. Perimenopause is a transition in itself, and just the fact that you acknowledge it. I didn't even know that that was a thing until one of your much earlier lives that you did talking about all of this. So please just keep going and keep educating us on, how to stay healthy through these changes and how we can support others, how our husbands can support us, and we can explain how our bodies are changing and the different things and still own who we are. So this is just amazing. I just wanted to pop up and support, and um, also stream to get more the education out there. You guys are amazing. I love you.
Thank you so much. That just warms my heart. Thank you so much for saying that. Because listen, I have my challenges as well. I have a ton of health challenges. Today was just extra challenging, and some days I just want to curl in up into bed and do nothing. But I have to just remind myself that when I show up, it may help just one person, but that is enough. So just to hear you say that, you really don't know how much it means to me. So thank you so much. And yes, Annie is a true badass to hear us or every 2 weeks talking about menopause, but he's still here. He's been here since day one. He is the reason why I have these shows. He encouraged me to do it when I didn't think menopause had a place on LinkedIn and nobody wanted to talk about it. So I'm forever grateful to Annie. He's a true badass. So thank you for that.
So
Um,
I'll say thank you too. You know, 'cause I've been telling collectors and I said thank you, Crystal, for your kind words and for bringing your YouTube friends every time. I've never seen 15 people from YouTube on our show, on any show, in through the 3.5 years. So I do have to say thank you for that for sure. You know what? I think that there's a point you make, Crystal, which I think is easy to miss. I do many shows with menopausal women. I never thought of it like that, but it's true. I think this is the point, right? This is the point that Sarah's making. This is the time, and Lisa makes all the time. This is the time when you can live your superpower. You know, I'm lucky to meet people who decide now is the time I'm gonna get my message out there and do what I want to do my way. That's what that facilitates, really. You know, well done to all my clients and all my friends. That's what I say.
I love you guys. I am at work. I'm going to stay off camera and let this finish so that the stream continues so that we can educate. But I just wanted to send a lot of love to all of you and keep up the good work, all of you. And Paulette, I love you, Auntie. I'm just so happy to see you healthy.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And thank you for all the work you do talking about trauma and bringing awareness to all those topics. So thanks so much for that. Um,
Mm.
are we moving to Alexis now, or you're welcoming? Are you
Well,
welcoming people?
I want to welcome some of our YouTube friends.
Okay.
Squirrels World is an artist at YouTube
That
fancy
is a
names,
cool
right?
name.
Yes, she is one of mine. She is an amazing person out of Canada who is very supportive of all of us. She usually jumps in when I'm streaming with you and has some good comments.
Excellent. Thank you for
Um,
joining us. Is
welcome.
that Jazeel? I don't know. I could try and pronounce the H. I get a feeling I'll be wrong either way. So hopefully I haven't destroyed your name completely. Who else do I see? I saw Apollo earlier. Yeah, Apollo's there. So welcome all of you.
Welcome.
And Bob is here as well. Welcome. So I appreciate everyone. Also appreciate everyone who joins us, right?
Yeah.
You're giving up your valuable time to spend with us. Could be anywhere right now, but you choose to be with
Yes.
us. We appreciate that. Lisa, what can you say on your LinkedIn that I can't see?
I'm seeing Dr. Marcia is here. So welcome, my friend. Um, I saw William earlier, William Rochelle. He was on a show last night or sometime, gosh. The days are just melding into each other, but I know I saw him on a show. So welcome, my friend. And Dr. Marcia is reminding us to send prayers to Jamaica. Yeah, I did say that at the top of the show. It's been devastating to watch the news and see, but we are sending prayers to you, my friend, and to your country. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But lots of comments, lots of comments. So thank you for the engagement. Really appreciate it.
Mm. Okay. So should we go to Alexis? Unless Paulette or Sarah wants to comment or share any thoughts on what Crystal shared.
The only thing I would say the thing that Crystal's saying is education, education, education. It's about, how you deliver the messages. Lisa delivers the messages in such a piecemeal fashion that people can take it and they can listen to what you say. They can take it on board. And then when something happens and that particular thing that you mentioned happens to them, they're like, oh, that's what Lisa was talking about. I know what that is. Whereas before we knew about these 100+ symptoms, I think doctors know of about five. And then when they get past five, they're like looking in their books. It really is as simple as that. So I think when what I always try to do, and what I've been doing since I've been on LinkedIn, is just trying to educate and help people deal with whatever it is they're dealing with at any one time. So whether it's menopause, whether it's anxiety, whether it's stress, whether it's this, whether it's that, it's all about education. And there's so much free help out there. I mean, free help, and where else do you get free help, right? So there's so much free help on these wonderful shows that, just like Crystal just said, she is more aware. She's able to let her husband understand this is because, I don't feel like it tonight, honey, because I am dripping. Okay, get the message? Comprende, it's called menopause, or perimenopause, whatever you want to say it. But, you can have that, almost make it into a, you're going to slide straight off. Make it a joke. Make it into a joke. Make it into a matter that is, look, I wouldn't, and it's like, it's suddenly not a problem, because you said it out loud. Not because you sat there hiding in the corner going, he's going to want it tonight. He's got that look about him. And if he gets up to bed early, I'm in trouble. And I'm sitting here dripping, you know. But if you speak, speak your truth. Speak how you feel. Speak what's going on in your body, going on in your life, going on, in your mind. I think, the going inwards is so important. Doing that inner work is so important. Doing the shadow work is so important. Every time that I've spoken to somebody, I've understood after half an hour that they've not told me the reason that they're talking to me. Okay? It's it's like they're giving me, when you go to the doctors and you've got a really delicate issue and you don't want to talk about it, so you go in there and you talk about everything else. And just as you're walking out the door, you do a Columbo, you turn back and you go, oh, and about this mole that happens to be in a rather delicate place, and that's what you really went for, but you don't want to mention it. It's a little bit like that. If you come to a counseling session or therapy session trying to talk about everything else but the thing that's really bothering you, how are we ever going to fix it? So we need to unpick those layers, just like we always talk about the onion, peel back the layers, find out where the trauma started so that we can then put them back together again, and then you become your full self and a better version because you're stronger. And you're able. Every time people come to your rooms, Lisa, they go away stronger. They go away more educated. They go away with more ammunition to understand what it is that's happening to their bodies. So just like Crystal, I applaud you week in, week out, because these are topics that, as you say, it's not the sort of thing you think would want to be done on a live show or a LinkedIn show or whatever. And yet your popularity has never changed. And understand the reason why. It's because people need to know. So that's what I think. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think what I liked about what Crystal was saying is that sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And what I would love to hear from the audience is, what's one thing about menopause that you wish you knew, or that you wish someone had talked to you about sooner? And that's how we share information. For me, it also had to do with finding my authentic confidence. And what that means is true confidence isn't just I'm great on the surface. It's I accept all the parts of me, even the messy parts. That is confidence. So it's really owning who you are and being good with what, all of the parts of who you are. But for me, one of the things that really helped me in connecting with my body, because that's part of menopause, is really listening to your body, as you were talking about, Paulette, and understanding what it is that the symptoms are, so you then can articulate those things that, as Lisa talks about, most people sometimes may not even connect it to menopause, but by being in tune with your own body and then being able to express that to a doctor or someone who has more expertise, you then can be able to better understand the things that you might need to work on. And so for me, journaling, meditation, really spending some time with, I've spent time with a depth psychologist, which is really getting deeper into like dreams and understanding more about your unconscious, because our unconscious is 80% of the things we do. We have no idea why it is we're even doing it. And so that the journaling prompts of like, what qualities in others trigger me and why, when do I feel most ashamed or defensive? So just journaling about those types of things and seeing what boils up within you, and then just meditating. Like before we started, Paulette was like, all right, 4 in, 4 out. And I was like, yes, because it's doing those types of things of really learning to feel your body, see what comes up visually. If those are the things that happen, then saying, I wonder why this came up, or why is this coming up for me now? Maybe it's a negative voice from someone. All those things have meaning. Those are unconscious things that are coming up within us that's saying, I welcome you to focus on these things. These are things you're still challenged with, that are still things that are in our body, because we still get this negative energy that's stuck sometimes in our body because of past things that have happened to us. And those are the things that give us further insight in what it is we should really be focusing on.
I love that you shared about the journaling. I think that was so important. Even if it's just to write down the symptoms I'm having today. Many of us are experiencing memory loss and brain fog, but we're also taking care of so many people, so many things, that we're putting ourselves last. So at the end of the day, we're not going to remember everything that happened to us during the day. And doctors tend to pay more attention to patients when they walk with information. So instead of trying to remember the top of your head, when you start walking with a note on your phone or a notepad and listing out, okay, last week I had a nausea and I ate late, and this week I had brain fog and it was because I was stressed. When you start writing down things, it gives us a direction to go in. So we don't have to like test for everything. We know, okay, let's test for these things first. But it makes us pay more attention to the patient, whether that's the right way it should be. That could be debated, but the studies do show when you walk with physical evidence of your symptoms and what's going on with you, it shows us that, okay, you're paying attention to your health. So it makes us pay attention to you. So just journaling, a simple notebook or just a notepad app on your phone is so very important. I wanted to pass the mic to Alexis. I know she's been on the stage for a bit. So Alexis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, please share with us.
Well, I've been listening, and I'm really, it's very positive what I'm hearing. So I will share what I've been through and how I embrace the process. It took, I think, a little while before I realized that things in my body were shifting. And so I talked to my older sister, and then I went to see a physician, and we talked about it. And that's what it was, starting the menopause process. And what I did was I tried to learn as much as I could about it. But the main thing was to embrace it, knowing that it's the end of one part of our life, but we're going forward into another part of my life. And being as I had an older sister, was very positive and open about things. It helped. And so what I do know is having a positive attitude, knowing that these different symptoms can show up. So it gives like an advantage, so you know that it will pass. The other thing that I found was walking, exercise, more water, and changing the diet to be more healthy, to eliminate things that were more inflammatory. And then again, with my sister, who was one of those people who lived large, was very glamorous and artistic, her advice was, and it was very good, always have ice water, ice at the ready. And she got a very beautiful crystal decanter. And then, of course, you can carry it around. And then a beautiful fan, personal fan. And so I did that. And it helps. It doesn't eliminate your symptoms, but they're not as intense as for as long. They don't last as long. You're you're doing things to help them, to help yourself go through it at the moment. And sometimes those things work, and sometimes you just got to write it out. So, but yes, information helps. Having a good support system helps, and taking care of yourself, and realize that you're going to be entering a whole new phase of life that is really beautiful when you make it through to that. And so, yes, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Alexis. And I love that you have a sister that you could share experiences with and find out from her what her experience was. For many women, the experience of your mother and sister or aunts can be totally different, but that's okay. I think the idea of just sharing the experiences helps with dealing with and managing with symptoms. So whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's a support group, colleagues at work, or finding a menopause coach, whatever avenue you're taking, I always say take it. This road was never meant to walk alone. And there are millions of women going through the exact same thing. The journey may be different, the experience may be different, but all women will go through menopause. So whether you deny it or not, whether you have symptoms, debilitating symptoms, with there being 120 symptoms, are roughly that. You may not know you're going through menopause, especially if you don't start with the hot flashes or the mood swings. But we will all go through menopause. So I think having the conversations is the place to start. Talking about it at work, talking about it with your friends, not being afraid to say, I'm going through menopause. It only takes one voice to stand up. And I've had so many women tell me it's when they said something at work that everybody else was like, oh, me too, and started sharing. But everyone else was just so afraid of saying it because of the stigma attached, because of how we're looked upon. Many women get passed over for promotions and stuff at work because they're in menopause. So there is some fear attached to it, and rightfully so. But the more we talk about it, those things disappear after a while. So that's why we show up here. No matter how tired we are, no matter how much pain we're in, we show up every other Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to talk about these things. So thank you so much for sharing that. Annie, I'm seeing some new faces in the chat. I just wanted to acknowledge them before we pass the mic to Aloven. And I hope I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing that.
yeah.
Yeah,
First,
I'm
first,
not sure if you're seeing the okay. Go ahead.
there's
Yeah.
this Queen Mary 420. That's another one of Krista's friends, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Krista's
Welcome.
the YouTube queen. Who was my so my StreamYard and LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is not doing much
Yeah,
more.
I'm seeing Tracy in the chat. So hi Tracy, welcome. I saw Jay, Uncle Jay was here, and he had a comment as well. I'm not sure if are you seeing Jay?
No, Jay? Who's Jay? No, I'm joking. Jay's a storyteller strategist. I just can't see him
Yes.
on my screen.
Yeah, I think yours is showing up after mine. Oh gosh, and I just had his comment. What the hell? Okay, so he said a study recently showed women in perimenopause who received estrogen treatment were able to reduce their risk of breast cancer, heart disease, and stroke by 60%. So yes, that's a very recent study. I think either this week or last week. Um, we still have to go. Remember, everything that is new, it just gives us more information. So hopefully doctors take note of it, aren't afraid to give women those treatments because hormone replacement therapy, the medication, is still your best bet with dealing with menopause. I still have to read the study to look at the study population because most times it's done on white women, white populations. It's a good place to start. It gives us a direction, but for Black women, for mixed race women in the Caribbean, we're mixed race. How do those things then affect us? It's still to be seen. But I'm always grateful that we're having these studies being done. So that's to me a positive. Professor Roxanne is also here, so welcome. She says thank you for this great discussion. So thank you for saying that. Um, Let me pass the mic quickly to Alvin because I know we're coming close to time, and hopefully the comments will show up on your phone by that time. So is Alvin still here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
sorry, the
so
comment was blocking her name.
yes, I am here. So it's Aravin. You're right. You can think about art, but without the P, and loving without the J at the end. If you want to remember my name, how
Oh
to
my God.
pronounce it.
I will never remember
That's
that. Oh, sorry, the menopause, the menopause.
It's okay, don't worry. I'm happy to be there. Thank you for welcoming me on stage. I've learned a lot here, and I can say that we need to speak more about menopause. And I've got a question about women who had chemo, because I came across to a documentary where they spoke about the fact they had to remove the ovaries of the young lady, so the girl, in order to give her the chance to have a baby later if she wants. But what about the women who are already women, and they have some chemo? I know it is something very general. Maybe you don't have any answer about that, but I think if doctors say that they need to remove the ovaries of a young lady in order to give them the chance to have a baby, I think they would have some impact on our menopause, if we have chemo in our life, I mean. So according to you, what could be the impact of someone for someone who went through chemo in her life, where when she was a lady, not a baby, not a girl, but a lady already? That's my question, about menopause
Sure, and
and
thanks for that.
chemo.
That's a great question. So two things you brought up there. So if a woman has a full hysterectomy, which means she's removing ovaries and uterus. If she's had a partial hysterectomy, so she's only removing the uterus, for most women, they're shoved into menopause. So there's no natural progression. Her body immediately goes into menopause. Also, if you're having breast cancer treatment, so let's say you're having chemo, again, for most women, their body is shoved into menopause. And this is something that most doctors, maybe they aren't aware of it, but they don't warn women that they'll go through these things. So you're going for life-saving treatments and having to deal with the trauma of maybe a surgery or the trauma of going through those treatments. We've all seen maybe on TV someone going through those treatments, how they're very sick, they can't eat, they're weak, and then their body also has to now deal with menopausal symptoms. So it's extremely challenging for that person. But yes, they go through menopause right away. And that actually leads me to my next question that I wanted to ask Sarah and Paulette, because they're both in the mental health field as well. For a woman who's having, let's say they're having breast cancer treatments and menopause at the same time, so it's extremely challenging. How does that woman wake up each day and find that confidence, find that inner badass? What are some of the first steps she should take, especially when the treatments are challenging, she's feeling physically weak, mentally weak, emotionally drained? How do you then help that woman to say, okay, find your inner badass? What are some of the steps that person should take?
I have some thoughts on that, Paula, but did you want to go first? So, I do want to say that I am not a medical or mental health professional. So everything that I have learned from my own experience. I think the biggest challenge is that you have to start to do the inner work before you get into those situations. And unfortunately, sometimes we are thrown into sometimes these types of situations because we've ignored our inner self and the things that we needed to really focus on. So for me, the moment we look at it as an opportunity, the moment we're dealing with cancer, we're dealing with depression, we're dealing with whatever it is that life has thrown at us, it is the universe welcoming us and inviting us to deal with the things that we have been ignoring. So whether it's our health, whether it's our mental capacity, it is always finding a support system, finding individuals that will be there for you. And someone else said a comment that I think is important. Dr. Marcia said, I wanted to go back to what her comment was. She said, embracing your inner badass includes knowing when you need help or support. Many people see asking for help or information as a sign of weakness. And I think that that is very important. First, you have to be able to ask for help. You have to understand that you're not going to be able to do all of this on your own. You wouldn't be in the situation if you could do it all on your own. And it's really, I think that when we are, for me, I go back to the law of relativity. The law of relativity is things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me. So when we look at it in that particular way, the reason I'm getting cancer or the reason these things are happening is that I'm ignoring a piece of me, something that I need to focus on to become my better self. So for me, if we look at it as an opportunity, that is when we can find the strength and the courage and our inner badass by asking for help and realizing that we need connection. We need other people to be able to help us. We need to look inward. That to me is really the answer. Anytime we're dealing with anything that is thrown at us, it's an invitation that you've been ignoring stuff and you need to pay attention to and dig deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that I use the word gratitude a lot. And it's an odd word to say I'm grateful for cancer, because no one's grateful for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're grateful for is the opportunity to try and get better. You're grateful for the opportunity of life. You're grateful for the opportunity that somebody in another bed didn't get. So I think that when you see that you've got a loving family, you've got things around you that you care about, people you care about, work opportunities, or whatever it is that you focus on it, because that's where you want to go. That's your goal. That's your destiny. And if you take to your bed and you say, I'm not getting up until I'm better in 6 months' time, in 6 months' time, you're going to feel very differently about all those things around you, because the people will get fed up with hearing you moaning all the time. They'll be wanting you to try and just try and get up today. Just think about having a shower. Just, it gets very tiring for people to be around sick people. And I know this because I've been ill for a very long time. And the thing that I would say is I was always the smiliest person, and not because it was a mask, but because I'd got another day. And I think every time you get another day, you go, yeah, I did it. I got another day. And so if you can look at life, and I'm not saying be grateful for every day, and I'm not asking you to praise the Lord for every day. I'm saying look inward and say, why am I so grateful? And the answer is you beat it. Whatever it was that you're fighting, you beat it. And the chapter of menopause, perimenopause, the reason they're called all these different things is because it's a journey. And one day that journey comes to an end, and that's your new chapter. And where do you want to be? How do you want to feel? Who do you want around you? And I think when you look at it like that, you break it into your chunks, like Lisa always does, piecemeal. Gradually, you see the journey ahead of you, and you're ready for it. Just like Alexis said, her sister said, this will happen, that will happen. Get the ice ready, do this, do that, do the other. Preparation is everything. Preparation is everything. And I think also understanding that every day is a day to be grateful for, and every day is a bonus, and it's a day that someone else never got. And so just think about it like that, because I think then you feel very differently about lying in bed and being miserable and grumpy and I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. Why? Why don't you want to do those things? Go inward, find out why. Because there's a reason. Because most people will be very, very grateful for that extra day, that extra opportunity to do something good, or even just for yourself to get up and just go out and do something. So I really feel like gratitude is a really odd word to use when we're talking about illness because it's like people go, what? But it's true. Being grateful for every day is a bonus. And it makes you feel like, yeah, okay, I'm not feeling great today, but okay, it's just one day. Let's hope for a better one tomorrow. And that's kind of how I live my life. I don't live my life by, okay, this time next month I'm going to be this. I don't say to myself, I'll be better by next Tuesday. I say, let's see how I am tomorrow. Let's see how I feel. And that's how we should all look at life. None of us are perfect. None of us are, superhuman. We're just coping and we're just coping at different levels. And I think that's the honesty of dealing with anything, whether it's menopause, perimenopause, cancer, whatever you're dealing with, just, getting over having your stomach removed, as in my case, whatever it is that's happening to you, it's just a thing and it's now and it will pass and hopefully you will get better and you will look at life in a different way. So be grateful for the journey. Be grateful for the day that you got given that someone else didn't. And I had two people die in the same ward as me. That is a hell of a wake up call. To hear somebody flatline is a wake up call. And I have never, ever, ever forgotten that. I don't think I ever will. So maybe it's the flat line in my back of my mind. Maybe that's my inner work. That's my thing. My trauma is that I don't ever want to hear that flat line. So I'm going to fight every day to be better and stronger. And I think that is what I give to anybody and everybody is just be grateful for every day. Go out there and just be the best badass self you can be.
Yeah, I just love how you ladies phrase that. Just I think every day waking up and seeing what badass I can be today. I think that drives me. And I think with all the health challenges we have, it makes you very grateful. When I had my first surgery, the nurse looked at me and said they couldn't wake me up for a while. They weren't sure they were going to be able to wake me up. So asking myself, well, why did I wake up? Why am I here? I found that purpose, and this is why no matter how much crap I feel or whatever I'm going through, I show up for these shows and I show up for the woman, I show up for you all because I know the other side. So, just wake up in gratitude, no matter how much crap you're in. Wake up in love, give yourself that grace. If you need to stay in bed for one day, then okay, that's okay. But I love, Sarah, what you said also. Ask for that support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Many women go for months, go for years without asking for help. And when they get the help, they're like, "Oh, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, I could have achieved so much more. I could have done so much more. I wasted so much time." And I think if anything you take from this show, if you're struggling with whatever it is you're struggling with, seek out someone and ask for that help. Whether it's myself for menopause, whether it's for Sarah to find your inner badass, whether it's for Paulette for whatever mental challenges you have, because I know she's in that space. She can direct you to someone that could help if she can't. Just whatever it is, whatever challenge you're having, don't stay with it. Reach out and ask for support because your life could be so much more enriched and you can find your purpose when you actually reach out and find that support. So thank you so much for sharing that. I just wanted to say hi to Natalie, Natalie Thomas, a great support of the show. I'm seeing you in the comments. Hi. Oh my goodness. I now realize we haven't heard from any in quite a while. Have you gone under the covers any? I know we are about to wrap up the show. Are you there still? We have to keep track of him, because he keeps running away. And you see, he ran away. Where did he go?
Lisa, while you're waiting for him to come, if I could say one more thing.
Sure.
One thing that I do want to leave with the audience is as you are out in the world and the people that you surround yourself with, just continue to be kind to others. You never know what it is people are really going through. So your kindness could mean something more than you even realize. I will also say that from an energy perspective, sometimes you have to let go of other individuals as well. So from an energy perspective, if you feel that someone is continuing to pull you down, and not actually helping to uplift you, it might be an invitation for you to let that person go. So I wanted to leave people with those two things because that's how you end up really finding the positive, is getting rid of the negative first and foremost. And you have to have the strength to do that. And then two, being kind to people that may not even you feel like deserve being kind to. So I do want to just leave the audience with those two things.
Thank you for sharing that. I think in these times, especially when people are losing their jobs left, right, and center, and there's so much illness and so much death surrounding us, a kind word can really make the difference. And thank you for saying that. Just want to say hi to Lauren Love, who's on YouTube. I'm assuming another one of Crystal's friends. So thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Annie, are you there? Ah, here we are. Where did you run off to? You're on mute.
Sitting down, gathering dust. Yeah.
I'm glad you're back.
So you're just fighting the good fight. Of course, sending support, keep fighting the good fight. Menopause is an awakening in itself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. There are a couple of comments I wanted to show. Nick says, Sarah, you're an excellent host. You don't hold back. I agree with that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Charita says, um, I'm awakened by my BFF Lisa. I have married it. Yeah, she knows now. Charita, she knows now.
Yes, waking up 5:30 a.m. for this show. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think LinkedIn has such a great community. A lot of times I get more support here than I do in other aspects of my life. So that's why I always show up for you guys. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
so Nick says, it's actually such a good topic. Externally, everything aligns, but internally, yes, that's a noise, right? Yeah. The night
Yeah.
sweats are disruptive. I think Paulette was talking when that comments went up. So
Yeah.
I don't think I've missed anyone.
No, I mean, a lot of comments came in on LinkedIn. So what we will do is just make sure that there are no questions that we need to address, because it's quite, it's quite a lot. I am really appreciative of the engagement tonight. Any last words, any Paulette or Sarah, before we close off?
I would just echo everything that Sarah said. Kindness costs nothing, and a smile even costs nothing. And right now, especially in the States, there aren't many people that I talk to that aren't very worried, very stressed, not sure if they're going to get paid, don't know where they stand. And it's not a political thing for me to say that. It's just a reality, and it's a very sad reality. And people are extremely stressed and worried, and quite rightly so. And they're going to be looking at food banks and places like that. So, as much as it's an odd thing for me to say in the UK, but if you're in the US and you can support your local food bank, through the church or wherever, there are going to be so many people. They're talking about the medical staff aren't going to get paid if it doesn't go back this week. So that means that everybody working in hospitals are going to be queuing up at food banks looking for food. So if you can give a little bit more, please do, because people that would never have dreamed of going to a food bank are suddenly going to be in dire need. And we must remember those people, what they did for us when we were in hospital, and they're now going to be looking for support from us. So that's just something I just thought of as we were talking about kindness, and I just thought, well, that's something we should really think about. And I'm sure that after this horrendous situation in Jamaica, we're going to be needing some kindness there too, because that they're going to be waking up to I don't know what tomorrow. So our prayers are with you, and we wish you absolutely everything but the best. But yeah, if you get the chance to stick something extra in the food bank, just please do. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Paulette. Especially since it's getting colder, Thanksgiving is coming up. The weather is going to make it even more difficult. So if you can check your local charities. I know a lot of us may think of like Red Cross or the bigger ones, but a lot of times there are local charities that need so much support. Coats, anything, socks, anything like that. So check with them and see what they need and what you can give. So thanks so much for that. Sarah, anything you want to just leave persons with? Please leave the link to your show and for persons to connect with you after. Any comments, please?
Yeah, first, I just wanted to thank everyone for the great conversation. And thank you so much for having me on today, Lisa. And ultimately, I want to leave people with to remember to give themselves self-care and self-love. That's not indulgent. That's actually intelligent. And we need to find ways to be able to care for ourselves, even if it's the smallest thing. So simply going out barefoot, grounding on the ground, finding little things that can help us to really just care for ourselves. And then I also just want to invite everyone. This year, I focused on the 12 universal laws. And actually, next month in November, I'm going to be focusing on the law of attraction, which has to do with manifesting. And then the last month is the law of compensation. But these 12 laws really help people to sort of guide and to find things that they can do to be able to make a difference, not only with themselves, but with others. So I would invite everyone to check out the show. It's every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And so I would encourage you just to look up BOYBAS, which is Boy Bass. And if you just search for that on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or Facebook, you should be able to find the page to be able to subscribe and then see when the next show is. So again, Lisa and Paulette and Inya and everyone else that that joined us, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And please, if you haven't seen Sarah's show, please join in. Do yourself a favor and join in. It's really a great way to start your Friday. I'm seeing Leah Garcia in the comments. Hello, my friend. I'm on Leah's show tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, talking about money and menopause. So please tune in for that. Thank you, everyone who came on stage, who showed up in the comments, who reshared the show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Thank you, Crystal, and all of her followers for showing up. I really appreciate all the comments and feedback. Please turn up again. You're always welcome. Next 2 weeks, we'll be having a panel of men talking about how we can, how they support their partners and giving us tips on how we can support each other. So really excited to see people like Annie and Jay and Felipe. Sean Michael will be there. And I'm forgetting one person again. It's 5 persons, oh gosh. See, brain fog again. But that's okay. It will be a really great show. So tune in next 2 weeks, 5 p.m. Eastern. You all be safe and have a great day.
Thank you.
Just watching the comments from Leah. Thank you, everyone.
I want to thank Future Boy for subscribing to my YouTube. Anyone else who subscribes, yay!
Yes, please subscribe to our channels and show up again. You all are always welcome.
I agree. Alavine, I don't know, you were muted. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Just to thank you for answering my question. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Sorry, I was a bit hasty.
So okay, I said thank you for answering my question. Thank you for having me here, and it was a great moment. Thank you for every share you gave us and every tips, everything. It was very wonderful. It was a very wonderful moment for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I'll look out for the newsletter tomorrow morning, where I'll touch a little bit more on how to embrace your inner badass with some more tips. And I will see you next 2 weeks. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Everyone.